Welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about a problem that almost every English learner faces. You know some English. You understand many words. You can read. You can even write. But when the moment comes to speak with someone, your mind suddenly becomes blank. Your heart beats faster. You start thinking too much. You search for words. And instead of speaking, you freeze. Many learners think this means their English is bad, but the truth is different. Freezing when speaking English is not a language problem. It is a thinking problem and a confidence problem. Your brain is trying to build perfect sentences too fast. Your mind is trying to avoid mistakes. And because of this pressure, your brain stops cooperating. But the good news is this. Speaking English smoothly is a skill you can train. In this video, I will show you powerful techniques that will help you talk to anyone without freezing. If you truly understand and practice what you learn today, your speaking confidence can change completely. Tip 1. Stop trying to speak perfect English. This is the biggest reason why people freeze when speaking English. They try to speak perfect English. They want perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, perfect sentences. And because of this pressure, their brain becomes slow. Imagine your brain like a computer. If you open too many heavy programs at the same time, the computer becomes slow and starts freezing. The same thing happens in your mind. When you try to think about grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and perfect sentences at the same time, your brain becomes overloaded. And that is when the freeze happens. Here is something very important you must understand. Communication does not require perfect English. Communication requires clear ideas. Even native speakers do not always speak perfect grammar. They pause. They repeat words. They make small mistakes. But they continue speaking because their focus is not perfection. Their focus is communication. For example, imagine someone asks you, "What did you do yesterday?" Many learners freeze because they try to create a perfect sentence like, "Yesterday I spent my time studying English and watching educational videos to improve my knowledge." But you don't need to say something complicated. You can simply say, "Yesterday I studied English and watched some videos." That simple sentence is enough. The message is clear. And communication happened. One of the biggest secrets of fluent speakers is this. They do not use complicated language all the time. They use simple English confidently. Simple English is faster. Simple English is easier for your brain. Simple English helps conversations move naturally. Instead of trying to sound impressive, focus on sounding clear. Instead of thinking, "I must speak like an advanced speaker," think like this. "I just need to express my idea." That mindset immediately removes pressure. And when pressure disappears, speaking becomes easier. Many learners wait until they feel confident before speaking. But confidence does not come before speaking. Confidence comes from speaking. The more you speak, the more comfortable your brain becomes. The more comfortable your brain becomes, the less you freeze. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. The first time you try, it feels strange and difficult. But after many attempts, your body learns the balance automatically. Speaking English works the same way. Your brain must learn through repetition. Tell yourself this. My goal is not perfect English. My goal is continuous English. Continuous English means you keep talking, even if the sentence is simple, even if you pause, even if you repeat a word. The important thing is movement. Because when your speaking continues, your brain stays active. And when your brain stays active, freezing disappears. The moment you accept imperfect English, something powerful happens. Your fear decreases. Your mind relaxes. Your ideas flow more easily. You begin to focus on the conversation instead of your mistakes. And suddenly speaking becomes much more natural. This is the first step to talking to anyone without freezing. Not perfect English, comfortable English. Tip 2. Use simple sentences first. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is trying to build long and complicated sentences. They believe that long sentences mean good English. But this belief actually creates fear. When your brain tries to create long sentences, too many things happen at the same time. You think about grammar. You search for vocabulary. You worry about pronunciation. You worry about mistakes. And because your brain is doing too many things at once, it becomes slow. That is exactly when freezing happens. The secret to speaking confidently is not complicated English. The secret is simple English spoken clearly and confidently. Simple sentences help your brain move faster. Your brain can produce them quickly without stress. When your brain feels relaxed, your speaking becomes smooth. Think about how children learn language. Children do not begin with complicated sentences like, "Yesterday, I was involved in an interesting discussion regarding future opportunities." They start with simple sentences like, "I talked with my friend." "I watched a movie." "I like this." Simple sentences create confidence. Confidence creates fluency. Fluency then allows you to speak longer sentences naturally. But the beginning must always be simple. Another powerful technique is learning how to connect small sentences instead of building one big sentence. For example, imagine someone asks you, "What did you do last weekend?" Many learners freeze because they try to create one perfect long answer. "Last weekend was very relaxing. I stayed at home. I watched a movie. I also practiced some English." Notice something important. These are very simple sentences. But when you combine them together, they create a full and natural answer. This is how fluent speakers talk. They don't build one complicated sentence. They build many simple sentences. And because of that, their speaking flows naturally. Choose a simple topic like your morning routine, your favorite food, your job or studies, your weekend plans. Now explain the topic using very small sentences. Like, "My morning starts at 7 a.m. I drink water, then I make breakfast. After that, I study English for 30 minutes. This exercise trains your brain to speak without pressure. Over time, your brain becomes faster. And when your brain becomes faster, freezing disappears." Many learners think speaking complicated English will impress people. But in reality, clear English impresses people more. If your message is clear, people will understand you. And understanding is the real goal of communication. So remember this powerful rule. Simple English spoken confidently is stronger than complicated English spoken with fear. Tip 3. Prepare easy conversation starters. Another reason people freeze when talking to someone is this. They don't know how to start the conversation. The beginning of a conversation often feels like the hardest moment. Your mind asks questions like, "What should I say first? What if I say something wrong? What if the conversation becomes awkward?" These thoughts create pressure, and pressure creates silence. But the solution is very simple. Prepare easy conversation starters. A conversation starter is a simple sentence that begins a conversation. It is like opening a door. Once the door opens, the conversation can continue naturally. Conversation starters are usually simple questions or friendly comments. They help both people feel comfortable, and they remove the awkward silence. Here are some very natural conversation starters you can use in many situations. If you meet someone new, "Hi, how are you today? Where are you from? What do you do?" If you are in a class or learning environment, "Are you learning English too? How long have you been studying English? What is the most difficult part of English for you?" If you are at work or in a casual situation, "How was your day? Did you do anything interesting today? What are you working on these days?" These questions are simple, but they are powerful because they invite the other person to speak. And when the other person speaks, the conversation naturally continues. Good conversations are not created by speaking a lot. They are created by asking good questions. When you ask someone a question, they respond. Their response gives you more ideas to continue the conversation. For example, you ask, "How long have you been learning English?" They answer, "I've been learning English for about 2 years." Now you can continue. "That's interesting. Why did you start learning English?" Notice how one question creates another. This is how natural conversations work. Before going into a situation where they might speak English, they prepare 2 or 3 conversation starters in their mind. This preparation removes fear, because instead of thinking, "What should I say?" your brain already has an answer. Preparation creates confidence. Confidence reduces freezing, and reduced freezing allows natural speaking. Think about conversation like playing catch with a ball. One person throws the ball, the other person catches it and throws it back. Questions work the same way. You ask a question, the other person answers. Then you respond or ask another question. Back and forth. Simple, natural, and comfortable. When you master these techniques, simple sentences and easy conversation starters, something amazing happens. You stop fearing conversations. You start enjoying them. And English stops feeling like a test. It starts feeling like communication. Tip 4. Focus on listening, not only speaking. Many English learners believe that a conversation means they must speak all the time. Because of this belief, their brain becomes nervous. They start thinking, "What should I say next? What if I don't know the right word? What if my sentence is wrong?" And while these thoughts are happening, they stop listening to the other person. This is the real problem. When you stop listening, your brain loses valuable information that could help you continue the conversation. But when you listen carefully, something powerful happens. The other person actually gives you ideas for what to say next. Imagine you are having a conversation with someone. Instead of worrying about your next sentence, you focus fully on what they are saying. You listen carefully. You observe their words. You notice the topic they are talking about. Suddenly, your brain becomes calmer because you are not forcing yourself to create something from nothing. Instead, you are reacting to information that already exists. This makes speaking easier. If you observe people who are very good at conversations, you will notice something interesting. They are not always the people who speak the most. They are the people who listen the best. Good listeners understand the direction of the conversation. They notice small details. They understand emotions. Because of this, their responses feel natural and intelligent. Listening makes you sound smarter without speaking more. A powerful rule used by many great communicators is the 80-20 rule. This means spend about 80% of the conversation listening and only 20% speaking. When you listen more, you gain more information. More information means more ideas. More ideas make it easier to respond, and easier responses mean less freezing. There is another hidden benefit of listening. You learn natural English. You hear how people structure sentences. You hear how they express ideas. You hear how conversations flow. This exposure trains your brain automatically. Your brain slowly begins copying natural speaking patterns. And over time, your speaking becomes more natural without memorizing grammar rules. When you talk to someone in English, try this simple technique. Look at the person. Listen to every word carefully. Focus on understanding the message. Instead of thinking, "What will I say next?" Think, "What is this person really saying?" This mindset changes everything. Because once you understand the message clearly, responding becomes easy. Listening transforms conversations from stressful situations into natural exchanges. Tip 5. Ask questions to keep the conversation going. One of the biggest reasons conversations stop is simple. People don't ask questions. They answer something, and then silence appears. The conversation ends. This happens because many learners think they must always say something impressive. But great conversations are not built on impressive statements. They are built on curiosity. Curiosity means asking questions. Imagine someone tells you, "I started learning English last year." You could respond with a short answer like, "Oh, nice." And the conversation may stop. But if you ask a question, the conversation continues. For example, "That's interesting. Why did you start learning English?" Now the other person will answer again. Their answer will give you new ideas for the next question. This creates a natural flow. Conversation becomes like a chain. One idea leads to another. Another powerful benefit of asking questions is that it removes pressure from you. You don't have to speak long sentences all the time. You simply guide the conversation. Instead of explaining everything about yourself, you can ask, "What do you like to do in your free time?" The other person speaks. Then you respond based on their answer. This technique makes conversations easier and more relaxed. The best conversationalists use something called follow-up questions. A follow-up question is simply a question related to the previous answer. Person: "I like watching movies." Follow-up question: "What kind of movies do you enjoy the most?" Person: "I enjoy action movies." Follow-up question: "Do you have a favorite actor?" Notice how each question builds on the previous answer. This creates a smooth conversation that feels natural. People enjoy talking with someone who shows interest. When you ask thoughtful questions, the other person feels valued. They feel heard. They feel respected. And because of that, they become more comfortable talking with you. This comfort makes the conversation more enjoyable for both people. The best way to improve conversations is simple. Become curious about people. Ask about their experiences. Ask about their opinions. Ask about their interests. Curiosity makes conversations alive. And when conversations are alive, freezing disappears. Tip 6. Practice speaking every day. If you want to talk to anyone without freezing, there is one rule you must follow. You must speak English every day. Not sometimes, not once a week. Every day. Speaking is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. If you stop using it, it becomes weak. Many learners spend years reading English, watching English videos, and studying grammar. but they rarely speak. Then when they try to talk to someone, their brain freezes. This happens because their brain has not been trained for speaking. Speaking requires practice. Think about learning to play the piano. You can watch hundreds of piano tutorials. You can read music theory books. You can understand how music works. But if you never touch the piano keys, you will never become a pianist. English speaking works the same way. Understanding English is not the same as speaking English. Your brain must practice producing words out loud. It must learn how to move from idea to sentence quickly. This only happens through repetition. When you speak regularly, your brain builds what scientists call automatic language pathways. These pathways help your brain produce sentences quickly. At first, speaking may feel slow and uncomfortable. But with daily practice, something amazing happens. Your brain becomes faster. Words come more easily. Sentences form naturally, and the freezing begins to disappear. One of the biggest excuses learners make is, "I don't have anyone to practice with." But the truth is that you can practice speaking even when you are alone. You can talk about your day. You can describe what you are doing. You can explain your thoughts. For example, you could say, "Right now, I am studying English. Today, I watched an English video. It was very interesting. I learned some new ideas." This simple exercise trains your brain to express ideas in English. Daily practice may feel small. 5 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow. But small daily practice creates powerful change over time. Your brain adapts. Your confidence grows. Your speaking speed improves. And one day you realize something surprising. Speaking English no longer feels scary. It feels natural. That is the power of consistent practice. Tip 7. Slow down your speaking. Another major reason people freeze in English conversations is that they try to speak too fast. They believe that fast speaking means fluent speaking. But this belief creates pressure. When you try to speak too quickly, your brain does not have enough time to organize your thoughts. Your mind rushes. You search for words, and suddenly you stop speaking. This is the freezing moment. Speaking slowly gives your brain time to work. It allows your mind to choose the right words. It allows your thoughts to form clearly. It allows your sentences to flow naturally. Think of your brain like a car engine. If you suddenly press the accelerator too hard, the engine struggles. But if you increase speed gradually, the engine works smoothly. Speaking English works the same way. Many learners believe fluent speakers never pause. But if you listen carefully to native speakers, you will notice something interesting. They pause all the time. They say things like, "Let me think." Well, so, these small pauses give their brain time to think. Pausing is natural. It is not a mistake. It is part of normal conversation. When you slow down your speaking, something powerful happens. Your sentences become clearer. Your pronunciation improves. Your confidence grows. And the other person understands you more easily. Communication becomes smoother. And when communication feels smooth, your brain relaxes. When your brain relaxes, freezing disappears. Before speaking, take a small breath. Then speak slowly. Focus on clarity, not speed. Instead of trying to speak like a machine, speak like a calm and confident communicator. For example, "I think learning English takes time, but daily practice really helps." Notice the small pauses. These pauses give your brain space to think, and they make your speech sound more natural. Fluency is not about speaking fast. Fluency is about speaking comfortably and clearly. A calm speaker sounds more confident than a rushed speaker. So train yourself to slow down. Think, then speak. When you do this, conversations become easier and more enjoyable. Tip 8. Think in ideas, not in perfect grammar. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is trying to think about grammar while speaking. They try to build the perfect sentence inside their mind before speaking. Their brain starts asking questions like, is this the correct tense? Should I use past or present? Is this preposition correct? Is this grammar rule right? While the brain is busy thinking about all these things, the conversation keeps moving. And suddenly, the moment to speak passes. That is when freezing happens. But fluent speakers do something very different. They do not focus on grammar first. They focus on ideas first. The main purpose of language is to communicate meaning, not to show perfect grammar. When you focus on meaning first, your brain becomes faster, because ideas are easier to think about than grammar rules. For example, imagine you want to say this idea. Yesterday, I went to the market and bought fruit. Instead of building the perfect sentence in your mind, focus on the idea. Your brain may produce something like, yesterday, I go market, I buy fruit. Is it perfect grammar? No. But the meaning is very clear. The other person understands you. Communication happened. And that is the real goal. Many learners think grammar must be perfect before speaking. But the truth is the opposite. Grammar improves because you speak more. When you speak regularly, your brain starts recognizing patterns. You hear correct sentences. You repeat correct sentences. Slowly, your brain learns the structure automatically. Children learn language this way. They do not study grammar books first. They listen, speak, and adjust naturally. Your brain can learn in the same way. When someone asks you a question, do not search for perfect grammar. Instead, ask yourself, what is the main idea I want to express? Once you know the idea, speak it using simple words. Even if the grammar is not perfect, keep speaking. For example, someone asks, what do you like to do on weekends? Instead of trying to create a complex answer, simply express your ideas. I like reading books. Sometimes I watch movies. I also practice English. Simple ideas, simple sentences, clear communication. When you think in ideas instead of grammar, conversations become natural. Your brain focuses on sharing thoughts, not building perfect sentences. This removes pressure. And when pressure disappears, speaking becomes easier. Over time, grammar improves automatically, because your brain learns through real usage. This is how many fluent speakers actually develop their language ability. Tip 9. Accept mistakes and keep talking. Many learners are afraid of making errors. They think, what if I say something wrong? What if people laugh at me? What if my pronunciation is not good? This fear creates tension, and tension stops your brain from speaking. But here is something extremely important you must understand. Mistakes are not your enemy. Mistakes are your teacher. No one becomes fluent without making mistakes. Not a single person. Every fluent English speaker has made thousands of errors while learning. They mispronounced words. They used wrong grammar. They chose wrong vocabulary. But they kept speaking. And because they kept speaking, they improved. If they had stopped every time they made a mistake, they would never become fluent. Making mistakes actually means something positive. It means you are trying. It means you are practicing. It means you are moving forward. People who never make mistakes are usually people who never try. They stay silent. They stay comfortable. But they never improve. Mistakes are part of the learning process. They are not something to be ashamed of. One of the best habits you can develop is the keep talking mindset. This means you do not stop speaking just because you made a mistake. If you say something wrong, simply continue. The conversation continues. The world does not stop. Most people will not even notice the mistake. And even if they notice it, communication still happens. Remember something important. People care more about your message than your grammar. If they understand your idea, the conversation succeeds. Confidence does not appear magically. Confidence grows through action. Every conversation you attempt builds experience. Every sentence you speak builds ability. Every mistake teaches something new. And over time, your fear slowly disappears. Because your brain realizes something powerful. Speaking English is not dangerous. It is simply communication. The moment you accept mistakes, your mind becomes free. Free to experiment. Free to express ideas. Free to communicate without fear. And that freedom is the key to real fluency. Because fluency is not perfect English. Fluency is the ability to continue communicating even when things are not perfect. Tip 10. Train your mouth by speaking out loud. Many learners practice English silently. They read silently. They watch videos silently. They think about English silently. But when the moment comes to speak, their mouth feels uncomfortable. Words feel strange. Pronunciation feels difficult. This happens because their mouth has not been trained. Speaking English requires muscle memory. Just like playing a musical instrument or learning a sport. Your mouth muscles must learn how to move quickly and naturally. This only happens when you speak out loud regularly. Every language uses the mouth differently. Different sounds, different movements, different rhythm. When you start speaking English, your mouth is not yet comfortable with these movements. So speaking feels slow. Sometimes words feel difficult to pronounce. But when you practice speaking out loud regularly, something powerful happens. Your mouth slowly becomes familiar with English sounds. Pronunciation becomes easier. Your speaking speed improves, and your confidence grows. One of the best exercises you can do is reading English out loud. Take a short paragraph from a book, article, or video transcript. Then read it slowly and clearly. For example, learning English takes patience and practice. Every small step you take brings you closer to fluency. When you read this sentence out loud, several things happen at the same time. Your brain processes the meaning. Your mouth practices pronunciation. Your ears hear your own English voice. This combination trains your speaking ability faster. Many learners feel uncomfortable hearing their own English voice. They think it sounds strange. They feel shy. But this discomfort disappears with practice. The more you hear your own voice speaking English, the more normal it becomes. And when your voice feels natural to you, speaking with other people becomes easier. Confidence grows. Fear decreases. Freezing becomes rare. Even 10 minutes of speaking out loud every day can create big changes. You can talk about your day. You can explain what you learned. You can describe what you see around you. For example, right now I am practicing English speaking. Today, I watched an English video. It helped me understand how conversations work. This type of daily speaking builds fluency step by step. Your brain becomes faster, your mouth becomes more flexible, and conversations begin to feel natural. Tip 11. Copy real speakers, shadowing technique. Another powerful technique used by many language learners is called shadowing. Shadowing means copying the way real English speakers talk. You listen to someone speaking English. Then you repeat what they say, trying to copy their rhythm, pronunciation, and tone. This technique trains your brain to speak naturally. When you shadow real speakers, you learn several things at once. You learn natural pronunciation. You learn natural sentence rhythm. You learn how English flows in real conversations. Many learners study grammar and vocabulary, but never train their ears for real spoken English. Shadowing solves this problem. It connects listening and speaking together. The method is simple. Choose a short English video or audio. Listen to one sentence. Then repeat it out loud. Try to copy the speaker's rhythm and pronunciation as closely as possible. For example, if the speaker says, "Today we are going to talk about confidence," you repeat, "Today we are going to talk about confidence." Try to match the speed. Try to match the tone. Try to match the pronunciation. This exercise trains your brain to speak naturally. After repeating sentences many times, something interesting happens. Your brain begins remembering the patterns. You start using similar sentence structures automatically. Your pronunciation improves, your speaking becomes smoother, and your confidence grows. Many advanced English learners use shadowing every day because it helps them sound more natural. Think about how musicians learn songs. They listen, they repeat, they copy the sound again and again. Eventually, their brain memorizes the rhythm and the melody. Language learning works the same way. When you listen and repeat English often, your brain learns the rhythm of the language. Speaking becomes smoother, and freezing becomes less common. When you combine all these techniques, simple sentences, conversation starters, listening, asking questions, daily speaking practice, slower speaking, thinking in ideas, accepting mistakes, speaking out loud, and shadowing, your English speaking ability improves dramatically. Your brain becomes faster, your confidence grows, and conversations stop feeling scary. Remember this. You don't need a perfect environment to improve your English. You only need practice and consistency. Start today, speak every day, and little by little your confidence and fluency will grow. Your English can change, but only if you begin. And if you want to keep improving your English with powerful and helpful videos like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss